And now we check in from Tel Aviv with two House members who just met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Republican Mike Lawler of New York and Democrat Jared Moskowitz of Florida. So, Congressman Lawler, let me start with you. You just met with the Prime Minister. What did you learn about where this conflict is going?
Well, it was obviously a very solemn meeting, and we got to see raw footage of the attacks of October 7th, which was deeply disturbing to all of us and very upsetting, obviously. But we engaged in a very thoughtful conversation about the need for Congress to pass aid to Israel and our support and our commitment to our closest ally in the region, a beacon of hope and freedom and democracy, the State of Israel. We need to eliminate Hamas. They are a terrorist organization. They use their own civilians as human shields. And, you know, we talked about the facts on the ground and what is actually occurring and really what the United States can do to support Israel at this moment.
Congressman Moskowitz, did you learn anything about the fate of the hostages? Any sense that there's actual progress?
Yeah, no, we talked a lot about the hostages. The meeting focused a lot on that, obviously, because, you know, we were asking a lot of questions. But, you know, I don't want to go into details because there, you know, are potentially ongoing talks and negotiations. But, you know, look, obviously there are not a lot of good options. The hostages are in a number of places. Some are in the tunnels, some are not in the tunnels. One of the things that we found out, which if you watch a lot of the videos that are public, and you can see the mob of people that came in, you know, as it turns out, some of the hostages may be kept by not Hamas. It might not be Hamas that has some of these hostages. It might not be Islamic Jihad that has some of these hostages. It might be some of the citizens of Gaza. And so, you know, they're working on several plans to locate the hostages. I don't want to go into details of that. But obviously that is a top priority. There are 9 Americans missing that are potentially hostage. And so, you know, this was a focus of the delegation.
And Congressman Lawler, we've heard what sounds like frustration coming from the Biden administration about about Israeli actions in terms of protecting civilians in Palestine, in Gaza, and you know, humanitarian pauses. How does the Prime Minister view this? Does he still feel that he has the full and total support of the Biden administration and the U.S. government?
Yes, and obviously that's the purpose of our delegation trip here, is to show our strong support in a bipartisan fashion for the State of Israel. You know, a week and a half ago, we passed a resolution in strong support of Israel and condemning Hamas. What is clear is that Israel is engaged in efforts to provide humanitarian relief. They've been engaged in efforts to get civilians out of the northern part of Gaza. But for those calling for a ceasefire, they totally misunderstand the situation here. Hamas is not some organization that is going to abide by a ceasefire. They are hell-bent on eradicating the State of Israel and eliminating the Jewish people. You're not dealing with rational, reasonable people here. And, you know, Israel needs to be able to defend itself. Nobody would call on the United States to engage in a ceasefire after September 11th, 2001. And I think it's irresponsible for us to call on Israel to do that when they're trying to defend themselves. The bottom line here is, yes, we need to provide humanitarian relief, and we want to avoid civilian casualties. But this 11,000 civilian number that keeps getting repeated by the press is factually wrong. Within that number, thousands of Hamas terrorists have been killed. And obviously Hamas is using these civilians as human shields. And so the oppressor here, the people that are responsible for the deaths in Gaza, is Hamas.
All right, Congressman Lawler, Congressman Moskowitz, thank you for joining us. Safe travels back to the U.S.